This is 7 News, the voice of regional WA.
Tonight, Midwest Police reveal their plans to target a dangerous crime. Bunbury says sorry for using a Wiggle song as a weapon. A major new movie being shot in an historic Wheatbelt town.
And expect cooler conditions in our south tomorrow. Those details coming up soon.
7 News begins now.
Hello and welcome to 7 News. Police in the Midwest have issued a stern warning to young people involved in the dangerous practice of rock throwing. It comes after a series of attacks at a Geraldton hotspot that left one girl cut and bloodied. Officers say they'll even use drones to catch offenders.
A show of force for an issue that continues to plague Geraldton.
Has had a spate of rock throwing instances, in particular at moving vehicles in the last 2 or 3 weeks.
The latest incident reported to police just yesterday. They're bracing for increased crime going into summer.
It's quite deceptive, usually quite opportunistic, very random in its nature.
Last month, Blair Lavender was on his way home when a rock the size of 2 marbles came smashing through his rear passenger window.
Like a gunshot went off inside the car. Well, that's how loud it was.
His 6-year-old daughter had been sitting in the back. She was left cut and bloodied.
Just the shock behind it and my daughter screaming was probably the worst thing.
Geraldton's top cop is Blair's neighbour. He too was worried by what happened.
He was absolutely distraught when that instant the rock came through the window.
Police say this stretch has become a hotspot for recent attacks, warning they'll use any resource available to them, including patrols in the sky.
Drones these days, everyone's seen them on the news or social media. They're a fantastic tool. We could potentially be watching 24/7.
Geraldton Police today launched an action plan, education to promote awareness, fencing to deter throwers, more CCTV surveillance, increased patrols, engagement with the community through watch programs, more resources for mental health, enforcing stricter penalties and increasing awareness campaigns about the consequences.
Don't be surprised if the police come knocking on the door asking to speak to your children, because again it's your responsibility.
Josh van Staden, 7 News.
Regional WA became caught up in the national Optus outage. From the early hours of this morning, Optus customers here and across Australia reported losing mobile and landline services. In some states, hospitals as well as public transport were crippled by the outage. Premier Roger Cook says WA appears to have dodged problems with major services. It meant that calls to 000 couldn't be made from some landlines. Optus reported services being gradually restored across the country, but hasn't revealed what caused the outage. New laws have passed through state parliament to mandate a banned drinkers register. The system's been on trial in regional WA. Police and health professionals will soon have the power to apply to put problem drinkers on the list.
Alcohol-fuelled crime. It's a complex issue the state government wants to see the end of in towns across country WA.
We see violence in the streets, and often it can be pinned back to someone's issue around alcohol.
In May, the problem became so bad in Carnarvon, alcohol purchase caps were introduced and liquor store trading hours cut back. The Shire and local police say it and other initiatives have helped bring down crime. Now a register to ban problem drinkers.
And it's a small inconvenience, a tiny inconvenience that could have a great outcome for communities.
From mid-December, a banned drinkers register will be mandated in the Pilbara, Kimberley, Goldfields, Carnarvon and Gascoyne Junction. Police, doctors and social workers will be able to make applications to have problem drinkers added to the list. That'll include drink drivers through to domestic violence perpetrators.
So we're going to see many more people go on that register.
Anyone wanting to purchase takeaway alcohol in person or online in those regions will first need to show ID.
It'll be scanned, it takes a few moments, and either a tick or a cross comes back, and then you're either allowed to purchase that alcohol or you're not.
For local retailers who fail to check, as well as friends and family who supply alcohol to banned drinkers, they face fines of up to $10,000.
This is about helping people deal with a real issue in their lives.
Jenny Shon, 7 News.
Firefighters have managed to bring under control 2 major blazes across our state, one in Exmouth and the other in our goldfields. Today, the Department of Fire and Emergency Services warned conditions are not going to improve.
So the soil dryness indicators are showing that we're around about 6 to 8 weeks ahead of where we would normally be. So we're talking about conditions we'd normally be experiencing in the back end of December.
Firefighters are working to contain additional fires around the state, and DFES says severe conditions will sweep the Midwest on Saturday. That could include dry lightning and strong easterly winds. It could last for around a week.
We still have active fires occurring in the southern half of the state in particular, but also up in the Kimberley where the delayed onset of the wet season means that the bushfire season there is going to continue in conjunction with an early start to the bushfire season in the southern half of the state.
As a result, the prohibited burning period within the metro area has been brought forward. It usually starts in December but will be in place from Friday. Borrowers have been hit hard as major banks pass on yesterday's interest rate rise. NAB, ANZ and Westpac have all announced an increase to variable rates for borrowers as well as select savings accounts. The 25 basis points increase brings the official cash rate to 4.35%. Across the state, vulnerable households at risk of rental eviction will be eligible for up to $5,000 from the state government. The money can be used to pay off money owed to landlords. The new program is available now and aims to have money out the door by early December. Ben Downey reports.
Well, I'm standing in a warehouse full of second-hand clothes, but the policy the government has announced today is brand new, providing urgent relief in the form of thousands of dollars for households experiencing rental stress at risk of eviction. Under the new scheme, individuals or households that can prove they're experiencing significant rental stress or financial hardship are eligible for as much as $5,000 to be put directly towards rental arrears or, in special cases, pay upcoming rental bills. In order to be eligible, landlords have to agree to continue the tenancy agreement for 12 months. It's expected to have money out the door by the beginning of December, providing relief to an estimated 4,500 households, equivalent to around 13,000 individuals. Tenants can be identified for assistance through the government's existing partnerships with services like Vinnie's, Anglicare and the Council of Social Services. The program is funded until June 2025 at an estimated cost of $24.5 million in anticipation of not just unemployed people requiring assistance, but also working people suffering in a rental market becoming rapidly more expensive.
The City of Bunbury has finally apologised for its use of the Wiggle song Hot Potato. It had been played in a loop 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Last night's council meeting heard using the song was an administrative decision to deter antisocial behaviour.
It was the song heard around the world.
Hot potato, hot potato, hot potato, hot potato.
Blasting from a Bunbury amphitheatre. Last night, a sombre apology from the local council.
On behalf of the city, I do apologise for anyone who may have experienced distress over this period.
The music was played here at the Graham Bricknell Music Shell. Residents told 7 News last week the noise was unbearable and played 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The story sparked national and international attention, but the speakers were finally shut off last week, so too the issue by local council at last night's meeting.
I'll note that this was an administrative decision and the intention of that decision was to deter antisocial behaviour occurring in that area at that time.
The council has written to the Wiggles to apologise as well as asked the group if it'd like to come to Bunbury. 7 News contacted the Wiggles for comment. Amanda Sabatino, 7 News.
York's historic architecture and colourful characters are set to be immortalised in film. A major movie production has taken over the Wheatbelt town. It comes just after the second season of the TV show The 12 wrapped up filming there as well.
A charming town in country WA caught up in some movie magic.
Abundant wide spaces, beautiful landscapes. The community itself, embodies the look and the feel of our film. And so it's just the perfect fit.
For weeks, truckloads of film equipment, catering tents and cast caravans have taken over York. They're in town for the feature film production of Runt.
Having a great time eating at the local pubs and Yeah, everyone's just been very, very hospitable and we're having an excellent time.
The main street now the set of ups and downs, and nearly 100 locals have turned into movie extras. They've been recruited to work alongside familiar faces from the big screen.
It's going to create a lot of interest. It'll be something they'll be able to talk about to their grandkids for the next 20 years.
Craig Silvey says his childhood in regional WA inspired his novel Behind the Movie, about a country girl's fight to save her family's farm.
Living at the whims of elemental forces, being a primary producer and knowing how precarious that can feel, and taking on a lot of that pressure when I was young.
This week, local school kids got to hear firsthand what a life in the arts has to offer.
These careers are possible, and that living in the regions is no barrier to entry.
Runt is expected to be released next summer. Jenny Shon, 7 News.
With a look at today's weather across the state, here's Julian Vicentini.
Thanks, Noel. A weak trough from the lower west started to move eastward today, and parts of our north copped some showers and thunderstorms as the day progressed. And those stormy conditions will continue in the Kimberley, Pilbara and North Interior into this evening. Fitzroy Crossing was the hottest temperature in the Kimberley today, reaching 41 degrees. Cooler in Broome, 33 the top. Further down the coast, 36 in Port Hedland, and it was hot. And it was a hot morning in Onslow, reaching 39 degrees just before midday. An overnight low of 12 in Geraldton before reaching 27. Warmer conditions in Moora, 37 degrees, and a hot 38 in Leinster. A cool morning in Bridgetown, a low of 6. Clear skies and a top of 30 degrees in Katanning, and Southern Cross reached its maximum later this afternoon at 4:30. And there were some solid falls in the Kimberley in the 24 hours until 9 a.m. 64 mils fell at Fossil Downs, 24 mils at Mount Winifred, and there was a sprinkle at Chains Beach, 0.6 of a mil. To the weather wall, hello to the Year 6 class at Bunbury Baptist College. Welcome to the students from Jungdranung Remote Community School, and a big hello to everyone at Yanda Yarra Remote Community School. Great job, everyone. Parts of our south will be hit with some cooler conditions tomorrow. All those details coming up right after sport.
OK, thanks, Julian. And ahead tonight, dozens of Midwest farmers come together to help out a family in need. And WA prepares to remember those who made the ultimate sacrifice.
They were there 1 minute, the next minute they were gone. They simply vanished.
2 young girls. They mattered to people.
There's unexpected terms and unexpected results.
In our Midwest, dozens of farmers have come together to help a grieving family finish harvest after their father passed away. In a show of community spirit, a huge lineup of 16 headers and trucks with dozens of volunteers came together in Eridu, a small locality near Geraldton. They finished harvest across 1,200 hectares at the weekend. It was all in honour of Daryl Burton. The 51-year-old died suddenly on a camping trip with his wife and 2 sons, young sons, last month. For those who've done it, raising a baby isn't an easy thing to do. Nappies, bottles and then crying babies manages to test everyone. For those planning on a baby, an Australian paediatrician says coming up with a mental health plan is important.
The majority of first-time parents quickly learn sleep is incredibly important. If a baby isn't sleeping, neither do the parents, and there's a high likelihood their mental health will suffer.
And the real focus needs to be on having the baby settled, having the baby sleep to enable the parents to then sleep as well.
1 in 5 Australian women will experience depression during pregnancy or after childbirth. And while focusing on their new baby, a new mum's own mental health support might fade away. An easy way to stop that is by creating a mental health plan for after the baby is born.
The key is to establish a plan, then focus on why that baby might not be sleeping as well as possible, as long as possible, and ask for help early.
The plan can be simple, but just a way to outline the things you need to do and think about as a parent when a lack of sleep starts to blur the lines. For those who have already had a baby, it's never too late to put your needs first.
You don't necessarily have to have thought of one beforehand. It's never, ever too late. And remember, there are loads of people around who can help. The most important thing is that you ask for help and you establish these support systems ahead of time.
And calming an unsettled baby doesn't have to be a battle.
If you go through a checklist of all the common causes for babies to be unsettled and you address them in a preventative method, then that's going to be enormously helpful.
Maya Greaves, 7 News.
This Saturday, the nation will pause to remember those who've fallen in service to their country. In the southwest, preparations are being made for the day.
In the Shire of Dardanup, thousands of poppies have been set up over 4 sites for Remembrance Day.
The community's made all these poppies. There's 3,500, I think it was.
Each poppy is handmade, a visual tribute to inspire reflection about the day.
Take a moment, but just really have a think about it.
Remembrance Day is a day to remember those who made the ultimate sacrifice.
At the beginning it was for the First World War, which was called Armistice Day, and then they included the Second World War in, and then they referred to it as Remembrance Day, remembering all those that have served.
This year it happens on a Saturday, the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month.
Men and women who gave their lives for their country, and for those that are still serving to this day.
The Bunbury RSL sub-branch is holding a service.
It's to honour and make sure we do not forget those that have served and died for their country.
Big part of the making of this country when so many people fought so far away and a lot never came home.
The organisers for the Saturday service have issued a simple invitation.
Come down to the memorial on Saturday morning and remember it with the Bunbury RSL sub-branch.
An invitation that stands for services across the state. Josiah McMeekin, 7 News.
Sport is next. Tonight, the important decision made by the Melbourne Cup winning jockey. Then a disaster at the SCG for the reigning Sheffield Shield champions. The Melbourne Cup winning jockey has highlighted how one decision made him a legend in the country's most iconic race. Mark Zahra was all smiles this morning after he claimed back-to-back Melbourne Cups yesterday. The West Australian's commitment to ride without a fight ended up proving to be a wise decision after he chose against the horse which won him last year's race. Zahra says he made his mind up after he won the Caulfield Cup on Without a Fight last month.
The weather was forecast for a firm track, which Without a Fight loves and Gold Trip doesn't. And yeah, and obviously I won the Caulfield Cup on this horse, and he won that well that I thought, you know, I just couldn't jump off him.
The 41-year-old started his career as a teenager at the Geraldton Racecourse in 1998. He's now the first jockey since 2001 to win the Melbourne and Caulfield Cup in the same year. WA have suffered their first defeat of the summer after being destroyed by New South Wales in the Sheffield Shield. The first-class match between the two states wrapped up today at the SCG, with the home side claiming a 10-wicket victory. The reigning champions were bowled out for 136, which sent New South Wales back into the middle with a target of just 2 runs to win. Western Australia will look to bounce back when they face South Australia at the WACA next week. A Wildcats recruit says recent heavy scrutiny and supporter backlash prior to their back-to-back victories didn't affect the playing group. Perth appear to have their season back on track after securing consecutive wins, including an overtime thriller against ladder leaders Melbourne United on Monday. Hiram Harris says despite the club sitting 8th on the ladder last week with 2 wins from 7 games, the club was not under pressure.
We try our best not to pay too much attention to the outside noise. We always try and focus about everyone in the circle, everyone in the huddle. We can't control what happens outside. We've spoken about it. We just got to worry about ourselves and do what we do as a team and ride the highs and ride the lows. It's going to happen. Everyone's going to win, everyone's going to lose. It's just how you deal with it.
The Wildcats are back in town on Friday night, where they'll face New Zealand on their home court. Julian's next with the weather at your place, and then in 7 News at 6. The real cost of our mortgage nightmare, what West Aussies are giving up as interest rates rise.
Welcome back. Expect a cool start to your day tomorrow if you're down in our state south, as a cold front will brush the southwest coast in the morning, with showers southwest of Mandurah to Katanning to Bremer Bay. The remaining parts of the coast are expected to cop some showers in the afternoon. Those conditions in our south will lighten on Friday, and a new ridge will rapidly develop over western and southwestern parts of WA before it persists heading into the weekend. Saturday will also see windy conditions spread over central parts of the state and near the lower west coast. Similar gusty conditions in those areas of WA on Sunday, and those afternoon and evening showers and thunderstorms in the north will stick around from tomorrow night right through until the end of the weekend. To tomorrow's temperatures, hot and stormy in our north, 40 degrees in Wyndham, partly cloudy in Broome, a sunny 38 degrees in Port Hedland, clear skies in Karratha and 41 the top in Newman. 26 degrees in Carnarvon tomorrow, sunny top of 35 in Murchison, 36 in Mount Magnet, cloudy in Geraldton and Jurien Bay and 30 degrees in Dalwallinu. Overcast in the southwest with possible showers in Margaret River and Augusta. Much the same in Albany, 20 degrees, 17 in Manjimup, 18 in Bridgetown, and mostly sunny in the Wheat Belt, 28 in Brookton. 26 and windy in Esperance, warm and gusty in Norseman tomorrow, 39 degrees the top, and a hot sunny day in the Goldfields, Kalgoorlie 40 degrees and 41 in Laverton. A strong wind warning is in place for the Gascoyne coast tomorrow, reaching up to 30 knots south of Denham in the late evening. Strong winds also for the Geraldton and Lancelin coasts, as well as the Leeuwin coast. Winds are set to reach up to 30 knots offshore east of Cape Leeuwin during the morning. And much the same on our southern border. Winds set to reach up to 30 knots offshore west of Albany during the morning and up to 30 knots west of Ayr into the evening. Taking a look around the rest of the country, stormy conditions in Darwin and our nation's capital, overcast and 22 degrees in Melbourne, a beautiful day in Adelaide, and back closer to home, a cloudy top of 24 degrees in Perth. Good night.
Thank you, Julian. That's local news for now. We'll have updates for you throughout the night. Coming up right now, 7 News from Perth with Rick and Sue. Good night, Western Australia.